You're born poor, which in 18th century Qing China is basically a crime. Your family lives in a village that barely survives its own winters. You grow up in mud and debt, the kind that seeps into the walls and never leaves. Your father is a farmer, when the weather permits. Your mother helps him in the rice fields sometimes, but she mostly weaves rice baskets and picks herbs near the graves. Your world revolves around rice, rains, and festivals. You're the second of 5. The youngest still clings to your mother's skirt, too small to leave her side for too long. You don't really remember your older brother, but you know he was always promising that he'd take you to Suzhou one day. Then one morning, he left with a man your father called a merchant. You believed it for years. Well, until you turned 8. The rain came too early this year, and the harvest drowned before it could ripen. No crops means no tax money, and no tax money means the collectors come. At first, your father borrows from a moneylender, then another. Soon, men with ledgers and short tempers start appearing at your house. One day, the loan men return. They don't bother with threats, just quiet smiles and ledgers. If you can't pay, they say, we'll take what you owe. Their eyes linger on you and your siblings. That night, the house is silent, except for your mother's weeping. Not another one, she mutters over and over, as if words alone could stop the inevitable. Your father doesn't speak, but you could swear you saw him shed a tear. The next morning, you're dressed in your best patched robe and told to be good. The woman who arrives is all perfume and powder, smiling the way people do when they're counting coins. She says you'll learn to sing, paint, and serve tea to important men. You're told it's a better life. You tell your siblings you'll be back soon with gifts. But when the cart starts to move, the truth settles in your chest. Your brother was also sold, and you've just joined the same chain, only now promised to be gilded in silk. You spare a thought to wonder how he's doing now, but it hurts your head, so you fall asleep. You wake up from the rattling cart and the sweet, sick smell of incense. It will take you years to realize those scents are just perfume over a prison. They tell you this is your new home, the flower house. It's not what you imagined. There are no flowers, just girls of different ages moving in quiet synchrony, their faces blank as porcelain masks. You see a sad middle-aged woman carrying a bag leaving the flower house. A madam in crimson robes watches both of you from a chair, tapping her fan like a judge keeping time. Training begins, before you even know the rules. You're taught how to bow, how to pour wine so the ripples never touch the edge, how to hold a lute like it's your lover. You learn songs you don't understand, and poetry meant to sound delicate even when your stomach growls. Sometimes you don't feel like continuing the training. But when you see another girl who couldn't keep up with the training sent to a lower brothel, one that reduces the women into slaves wanted just for their bodies, you persevere. You're beaten for mistakes. Not hard enough to scar, just enough to bruise your pride. You're praised for beauty, corrected for personality. Grace, they say, is the art of disappearing. Every morning, you drink a bitter herbal tea that stains your tongue and stills your body. You don't know it yet, but it's to keep you a young girl a little longer. The madam says it preserves your value. You learn that speaking is dangerous. Every word has a price. Every smile is an investment. By 13, you've stopped thinking of yourself as a person. You're called a huanu, elegant woman. But you wonder what about how you were treated was elegant. One day, the madam inspects you under a lamplight. Then she asks you to play instruments and recite poetry. You do. She smiles. Perfect, she says, almost ready to sell. You bow, just as you were taught. And for the first time, you realize they've polished you into a product. You've become valuable, but not to yourself. You're 15 when the madam says, it's time. She calls it your flower blooming. You don't understand the irony yet. That night, the house glows like a lantern, smoke curling from censers, wine sweet as rot. The air hums with laughter and flutes. but every sound feels rehearsed. You've practiced this scene for years. Now you finally get to perform. Men fill the room. Merchants, officials, scholars pretending to be poets. They test you like connoisseurs inspecting a porcelain vase. "Play the quin," one says. "Pour me wine," says another. You do. You smile. You answer their riddles with verses you memorized from your tutors. They laugh, delighted, not at your wit, but at how easily it comes packaged in obedience. By midnight, your fingers ache. Your smile aches worse. When someone calls you charming, it sounds less like praise and more like ownership. Then come the gifts. Silk fans, jade hairpins, strings of coins. They pile them before you like offerings to a shrine. For a second, you think maybe this life won't be so bad. But the moment the men leave, the madam's assistants sweep everything away. "House property," they say, not even looking at you. You sit alone in the now empty hall, face still painted, fingers still trembling. You were the center of attention for hours, but nothing in this room. Not the gold, not the music, not even your name belongs to you.
Nope.
You smile one last time, out of habit. It's the only thing that's still yours. You settle into the routine easily, maybe too easily. Days blur into one long performance. Music, laughter, painted smiles. Morning lessons in calligraphy. Afternoons spent plucking the pipa until your fingers blister. By night, you perform for strangers who claim to love you for your grace. You've learned the rhythm of survival. Bow, pour, flatter, retreat. Never too bold.
Nope.
Never too shy.
Nope.
Just perfect enough to make them pay again. The other girls whisper that you're the madam's favorite. You wish it felt like luck. Then when you turn 17, the tone in the house changes. You're told to bathe longer, wear the finest robe, use the good rouge. Incense burns in every room, the air sweet enough to choke on. No one tells you why, but everyone avoids your eyes. That evening, the madam arrives smiling, the kind of smile that means business. "A great honor," she says. "A wealthy official has chosen you, your first knight." She calls it a ceremony. You already know it's a sale. The house celebrates. Lanterns shimmer, wine spills, laughter rises like smoke. They toast to your beauty, your purity, your price. Behind the sliding door waits your patron, older, perfumed, heavy with satisfaction. Pain comes wrapped in silk. It smells of sandalwood and power. When it's done, you lie still as the world tilts around you. The madam greets you in the morning with a gentle pat on the cheek. "You did well," she says. "You are one of us now." Outside, the city wakes to birds and sunlight. Inside, you finally understand. You were never being trained to perform. You were being polished to sell. You rise, not because you want to, but because beauty in this house is a kind of currency, and yours is in high demand. By 20, you are the courtesan of Suzhou. Poets write verses about your smile. Painters beg to capture your likeness. Men compete for your company like gamblers chasing luck. And every night, you sit beneath lantern light, smiling until your cheeks ache. You attend salons filled with smoke and laughter. You play the lute, recite Li King Zhao, pour wine with the grace drilled into your wrists. You learn to flatter egos as easily as you once learned songs. For a few hours each evening, you are a dream. Their dream. But dreams come with hands, and hands always want to touch. Over the years, you attend to different patrons. There's the teenage scholar, barely older than you once were, who comes because his father, a rich merchant, insists he must learn from beauty. He's trying to join the government by passing the imperial exams. He quizzes you on poems and history, and when you falter, he slaps you. Then he apologizes crying, promising he only wants to teach you. You forgive him, not because he deserves it, but because you've learned that forgiveness is safer than defiance. There's always the merchant who always smells of fish and sweat. He talks of trade routes and silver shipments, while his fingers trace the silk on your sleeve. You close your eyes and count heartbeats until he leaves. And then there's the official, the dangerous one. Drunk, he curses the emperor and boasts of executions. He once grabbed your jaw and whispered, "If you ever repeat what I say, you'll vanish before dawn." You believed him. You still do. You continue to receive gifts. Jade bracelets, embroidered robes, hairpins that glitter like frost. The madam takes them all. "We'll keep them safe," she says. You smile. You've stopped asking what safe means. Then around 28, you notice men's eyes begin to slide past you. A new girl has arrived. Younger, softer, hungrier. The madam calls you experienced now, as if it's an insult. You begin to beg your patrons, "Buy my freedom." They promise, always with the same tender lie. "Soon, when I can." They never do. At night, you watch the older courtesans vanish, one by one, dismissed, discarded, returned to the streets. Some are discarded to lower brothels where only their flesh is required. Others who wouldn't agree to go to the brothels are beaten and thrown to the streets. You hear from a patron that one of them stays near the docks, selling herself for a handful of coppers. He jokes about you also joining her later. He laughs. You break inside. But you keep smiling. Because even in a gilded cage, the songbird must sing. Until her voice gives out. You continue your routine until you can't anymore. You thought you were careful. You drank every bitter cup the madam gave you, herbs that burned your throat and twisted your gut. But one day, the sickness doesn't pass. Your chest aches. The smell of wine makes you retch. You know what it means before the doctor confirms it. The father is one of your regulars, an aging official, wealthy and lonely. He never married, never wanted to. "Too many chains," he always said with a laugh. He liked you because you didn't remind him of a wife. You just listened, smiled, and stayed silent. When you tell him about the child, he goes very quiet. Then he calls in the madam and places a pouch of silver on the table. "I want the baby," he tells her. "Just the baby." Your heart breaks. When the baby comes, a boy, you hold him for barely an hour. He's tiny, red-faced, loud enough to startle you. You count his fingers, trace his cheeks, and wonder if he'll ever know your name. Then the official arrives, dressed in mourning colors for reasons you don't ask. He looks at the child once. "He'll have a proper home," he says. You try to speak, to beg, but your voice breaks before the words do. He leaves with the boy before dawn. You bleed for days afterward, weak and feverish. The madam only shakes her head and says, "You were careless." From then on, she doubles your herbal teas. Stronger, darker, impossible to refuse. You return to work before you've even healed. Your body obeys. Your smile returns. But something in you stays hollow. The songs sound thinner. The laughter hurts your ears. When men compliment your beauty now, it feels like an insult. You never ask about the child again. But sometimes in dreams, you hear a baby crying. And when you wake, the sound lingers, long after the incense fades. Time moves differently in the flower house. For the men, it's a blur of nights. For you, it's a slow rot beneath powder and perfume. Now you're 33, and the cracks start to show. Your voice trembles, your skin dulls. The clients who once fought to see you now ask for someone younger. The new girls arrive in waves, soft voices, bright eyes, perfect skin. You teach them how to smile, how to pour, how to pretend it doesn't hurt. They thank you, then replace you. The madam doesn't scold anymore. She sighs instead. You've served your years well, she says, like you were a faithful horse. One morning she hands you a robe, a few coins, and nothing else. You're free, she says, smiling faintly. You weren't beaten. After all, you were one of their most profitable girls. But she sends you off either way. You step out into the street and realize you have nowhere to go. No family, no home, no name that isn't for sale. The city feels too big, the air too cold. You see a young girl, wide-eyed, going into the flower house. You both share eye contact. You see yourself in her, and then it hits you. You remember the woman leaving the flower house when you first arrived. That is you now. You've always dreamed of freedom. Now you finally have it. And it feels exactly like being abandoned. But freedom doesn't last long when you have no place to belong. For a while you wander, selling trinkets, mending robes, sleeping wherever the night allows. Every street you walk smells faintly of sandalwood and memory. But the streets are dangerous for a woman, especially one with a past like yours. Sometimes you think of going home, but then the thought folds in on itself. What home? If your parents still live, what would they say? That they're sorry? That they'd do it again? You imagine standing at that old door, hearing your mother's voice, and realize there's nothing left to return to. You wonder about your brother, if he ever got his merchant's life, if he ever found freedom. You pray he did. You pray harder that he is alive. Eventually you find a temple by the river and stay. The monks and nuns don't ask questions. You like the peace and solitude. It feels like the right place to belong. So you shave your head. They give you robes and silence. You sweep floors, chant sutras, watch the seasons pass like smoke through paper. Every ghost festival, you light a lantern for the ones who never left. The girls still painted, still smiling, still sold. You light one for your son, somewhere out there. You also light one for your brother, too. Sometimes for the girls you once were. And when you do, you remember the last line in your final poem. To bloom was pain, to fade is peace. You were born in 18th century China, the Qing Dynasty to be exact. Your village is nameless to most, a scattering of mud homes and millet fields where famine comes often and gods stay silent. Your father is a farmer, when the land allows it. Your mother sells herbs she picks near the graves. There are too many mouths, not enough bowls. You don't remember the deal. You were too young. 4, maybe 5. What you do remember, the hunger that made your mother chew rice and spit it into your mouth like a bird. The winter your baby sister froze in her sleep. The way your father looked at you. Not cruelly, just calculating. Before long, you're sold to lessen the number of mouths to feed. Your father says it's for your own good. Your mother doesn't say anything. She just looks at the floor like it might split open and swallow her. The man who takes you is smiling, not kindly. He counts the coins, hands them to your father, and then lifts you like luggage. You scream, for a second, then stop. It doesn't help. No one is coming to help. The road is long. You're not the only one. There are others in the cart, dirty, hungry, silent. Some cry at first. They stop too. Some are stolen, some are sold, some are both. All of you are going to Beijing, to the houses with red lanterns and barred windows, to become Tang Ming U, or escorts. You don't know the word yet, but soon it will be the only one that matters. In the beginning, they treat you like something valuable. You are washed, fed, brushed, inspected, like a dog at a fair. One boy coughs too much. They toss him in a ditch. You don't ask questions. They rename you something soft and pretty like unwanted flower, because flower means more than petals here. It means you're someone's fantasy now. You are 5, so you know how to sit still, how to say thank you. And now you're going to learn to obey, because soon you'll learn what your body is for. And you'll have to learn fast, or you won't live long enough to be sold again. Your training begins the day Madam decides you're ready. She is the manager of the brothel, the big boss. Nice to all the new kids, since she gives you all sweet buns. But that all changes when you turn 6, maybe 7. After all, no one cared about your birthday since you became property. They start with the body. Hip massages, daily, to widen your figure. Hair removed with string and oil. Every inch of your skin stings for days. They make you walk a certain way. Hips loose, arms soft, head tilted just so. You're corrected with slaps. You're praised with sweets and warm water. You prefer the slaps. They make more sense. Every week they insert something new in you. Ivory, polished wood, carved stone. They call them training rods. You learn to breathe through the pain. Eventually, you learn to pretend to enjoy it. They bind your feet to keep them from growing larger. Small feet are beautiful, they say. You don't argue. Arguing makes them angry, and the cane hurts more when they're angry. By 8, you're doing shows. Not public ones. Not yet. Private demonstrations behind curtains. You bend, twist, pose, present. They make you act like you want it. If you don't smile, they beat your thighs with switches.
Nope.
No bruises. Bruises lower your price. They give you concoctions to make your voice rise, diets to make your muscles fade. Your boyhood recedes into a mask painted with powder and perfume. The customers come to watch. Men with rings, calloused hands, and hungry eyes. They pick favorites. You pray it's not you. But it is. Eventually, it always is. They rename you again. Curious Needy Flower. A promotion. One that you definitely won't like. You don't sleep well. You start biting your lips raw to keep from crying at night. You dream of fire and waking up somewhere else. Anywhere else. But every day, you wake up here. Still soft. Still owned. Still learning how to live with pain. Few months pass. Congratulations. You are due for another promotion. They said you were ready. You weren't. You're 9. They bring you to the private room. The screen hides nothing. The man is old. Smiling. Smiling too much. He smells like wine and sandalwood and rot. Your trainer nods once, then leaves. You're alone. You remember what they told you. Don't flinch. Don't cry. Make it sweet. He calls you Little Lotus. You don't respond. He doesn't mind. He tells you to kneel. You do. He touches your face like he's picking fruit. Then he slaps you. Hard. Not out of anger. Out of ritual. He tells you to turn around. You obey. Your knees sink into silk cushions. After it's over, you lie curled in the bed, shaking and leaking. You're in pain. More pain than you were ever in while they prepared you. Worse pain, because this time it was real. He leaves a coin and a compliment. Very soft, very good. You don't move for hours. You don't speak for days. The madam says, "You're a professional now." She smiles like it's a promotion. They feed you a sweet bun. You vomit it up that night. They burn incense to cover the smell, but it clings to you. The blood, the musk, the shame. It soaks into your skin. You're different now. Everyone sees it. You carry yourself lower. Your eyes don't blink as much. Some of the younger boys ask if it hurts. You tell them no. You lie, because soon it will be their turn, and you don't see why you should cause them fear now. After all, what could they do about it? What could any of you do about it? Over the next few years, you become a favorite. Not because you're the prettiest, not because you smile, but because you don't. They say you have discipline. What they mean is, you've stopped fighting. Your body knows the routine, the oils, the positions, the ways to twist and arch and flutter like it's your idea. You've become profitable. The older boys hate you. The younger ones stare like you're a statue. Beautiful, untouchable, terrifying. They put you on display. Clients pay extra just to watch you prepare. Painting your lips, brushing your hair, sliding into gauze that hides nothing. You don't talk much. You don't need to. Men beg for your attention. Some just want to look. Some want more. Some want to break you again. You learn to fake tears. They love that. You learn to fake laughter. They love that more. One client brings you a mirror. "Look," he says, "you're perfect." You stare at the glass. You don't recognize the thing staring back. You're 13 now. You're earning more than anyone in the house. You never touch the coins. The madam says you're investing in your future. You think she means a nicer grave. They start prepping you for promotion, castration, the final cut. Only the best get it, the madam purrs. You'll never age, never bleed, never be replaced. You nod. But inside, something folds in half and doesn't unfold again. You've stopped asking questions like, "What am I? What will I become?" You already know the answer. A product, a petal, a perfect thing. They wake you at dawn. Not with shouts. This isn't punishment. This is promotion. A bath first. Always a bath. Rose water, crushed pearl, oils thick enough to drown in. You are not a boy. You are velvet plum. You must smell like flour before they slice you. No one tells you what will happen. But you know. The ones who come back, the castrated, are never the same. Their voices float like smoke. Their laughter never lands right. They blink too slowly, or never at all. You're led into the room barefoot. The floor is warm, as if it's been soaked in other people's fear. There are no windows, just a bench, a bowl, a blade. The man doesn't smile. He doesn't need to. You're told to drink a syrupy wine. It tastes like copper and sleep. Your limbs soften. Your jaw locks. You can still feel everything. He hums while he works, and slices with precision. You can't even scream. Afterward, they bury you in hot sand up to your neck, to stop the bleeding, to stop the movement, to stop the thoughts. You hallucinate for 3 days. Your name is called, softly, like a prayer, or a curse. You rise. You don't walk the same. You don't think the same. You don't feel the same. The madam claps when you return. "You'll last twice as long now," she beams. You bow. Because what else can you do? You've been upgraded, refined, completely. No longer a boy, not yet a man. Something new, something marketable, something dead. 4 years pass. You turn 17. There's no cake, no celebration.
Nope.
Just a quieter hallway and colder looks. Your price has dropped. Your skin is loosened. Your beauty, once the brothel's pride, is now an overhead expense. They stop dressing you in silk. Perfume gets rationed. Clients don't ask for you anymore.
Nope.
They ask for someone younger. You still smile when they enter, still dance to their whip, but the sparkle in your movements is just muscle memory. The rest of you is gone. One night, the madam doesn't call for you at all. Then another, and another. You're summoned, but not for a client. She doesn't look at you when she speaks. You've had a good run. That's it. No severance, no farewell. They give you one robe, one coin, no shoes. They unlock the back door and gesture toward the alley. Don't come back. You hesitate, not because you want to stay, but because you don't know what exists beyond this place. You've never touched a tool, never cooked a meal, never been outside after sunset alone. You step into the cold. Your robe is thin. Your legs are shaky. No one notices you on the street. You're just another shadow limping past the firelight. A week later, you're begging near the gates. You see one of your old clients. He laughs, tosses a copper, misses on purpose. You pick it up anyway. You sleep in doorways, drink melted ice. Your body begins to rot from the inside out. The pain is back, but now it doesn't buy anyone pleasure. You're not Velvet Plum anymore. You're just another cough in the wind, another used object thrown away. They find your body days later, curled under a staircase behind a bathhouse, half covered in snow. No one claims it. Your skin is gray, your fingers black with frost, your eyes half open, still looking for someone to recognize you. But no one does. You're carted away in a pile with a drunk and a thief, buried in a trench behind the city wall. No marker, no prayer, not even a number. The brothel doesn't mention you again. Your name is handed to the next boy. Velvet Plum, they whisper to him, as if it was a role in a play, as if you never existed. You were never counted in the census, never written in the temple rolls. You left behind no family, no children, no legacy. Only the faintest dent in the mattress you slept on. You were born in Japan during the Edo period, a period of art, culture, and poetry. You come into the world the way most boys do, squalling, red-faced, more trouble than treasure. Your family isn't rich. Your father tills soil, mends tools, and fixes sandals for neighbors. Your mother works the fields, carries wood, and keeps you alive. Nothing special. You grow up in a small village where days are simple, running barefoot through rice paddies, climbing trees, playing tag with the other children. You're always in the center of it, not because you try to be, but because you look different. And you looking different is just another way to say you're drop-dead gorgeous. By age 5, girls cling to you. They grab your hand when it's time to chase, braid flowers into your hair when you sit still long enough. Boys wrestle you but never really rough you up. It's like they know they're grappling with something fragile. Everyone laughs about how you're too pretty for mud, but it's a harmless kind of teasing. No one thinks much more of it. Your parents are proud, though in the ordinary way. Your father brags that you'll grow into a fine young man. Your mother scolds you for dirtying your clothes, but strokes your hair when you sleep. To them, you're just their son, their child. Beautiful, yes, but still only a boy chasing dragonflies by the river. Then one summer, when you turn 8, a kabuki troupe arrives. They are a traveling group of actors made up of adolescent boys. You hear whispers from some village uncles that the female troops were better, as they cursed the government for banning it. You dismiss them for village gossip. After all, why should you care? The entire village gathers for the performance. Lanterns lit, drums pounding, flutes shrieking. You sit with your friends wide-eyed as painted men leap and shout on stage. You've never seen anything like it. When the show ends, a man from the troupe lingers. He looks at you too long. Later, he visits your home as he shares sake with your father. He talks about talent, about theater, about how your face is made for the stage. He promises fame, silk costumes, crowds that will adore you. Your parents don't hear danger in his words. They hear opportunity. How many boys from this tiny village are chosen for something bigger? How many children get the chance to step out of the fields and into the city lights? When they tell you, you can hardly breathe. You'll be an actor. You'll wear costumes brighter than fire. You'll be cheered, applauded. It sounds like magic. You don't notice the look in your mother's eye. You don't realize that everything is already decided. For now, you're still just a boy, and the world feels innocent. The years pass quietly. Seasons of planting and harvest, of snow melting into the river, of festival drums echoing in the night. You still chase dragonflies, learn to carry water jars, and fetch kindling when your mother calls. You never stop being the beautiful boy, though. Girls still tug you into their games. Boys still laugh that your face will never harden like theirs. It's just who you are. Harmless, ordinary, a boy of the village. Until the day you turn 12. The troop man returns, as if he had never left. He brings a bundle of silk for your parents, a purse that clinks when it touches the floor. Your father beams. Your mother fidgets with her hands. They tell you to sit. You don't understand at first. Then the razor comes out. The village barber shaves the crown of your head, leaving only the long forelocks of youth. This is not a game, not festival play. This is the mark of Wakashu, the stage between child and man. The laughter of your friends feels very far away. When you touch your bare scalp, it stings. You feel smaller, exposed. Everyone says you look handsome. No one asks what you want. That same evening, you leave. The cart waits at the edge of the village, lanterns swaying in the dusk. Your mother stuffs your hands with rice balls wrapped in cloth. She doesn't cry, not in front of you, but her eyes shine wet. Your father claps your shoulder. "Make us proud," he says. The troop man lifts you up. The wheels turn. The only world you've ever known falls away into the night. The journey takes days, through forests, across rivers, past villages that seem larger than yours, and finally into the endless sprawl of the city. Edo. Lanterns everywhere, streets buzzing even after the sun sinks. You smell perfume, sweat, smoke, roasted fish, all at once. The air itself feels crowded. You clutch your bundle of clothes and stare. At first, it feels like wonder. Towering theaters with painted banners, men in masks shouting from balconies, music that never stops. You're told this will be your world now. They take you inside a tea house where other boys your age sit cross-legged, faces powdered, hair shining with oil. They look at you the way villagers look at a stray dog. Curious, measuring. Your training begins gently. You learn to bow, to walk without sound, to stretch your arms in flowing arcs. They show you costumes brighter than fire, masks that grin and scowl. It is acting, they say. You are an actor now. But sometimes when you pass through the hallways, you notice the men who linger. Merchants with silken sleeves, samurai with polished swords. Their eyes rest too long on the boys in their painted robes. They look at you the way your father looked at a fine tool at the market. You don't yet understand why. No one explains. No one warns. For now, you are told only this. You are lucky. You are chosen. You are beautiful. And whether you believe it or not, the stage lights are waiting. And the stage adores you. By the time you're 14, the crowds already chant your name. Women in layers of silk whisper about your delicate grace. Samurai smirk, folding their arms as you glide across the stage in a role meant for courtesans. Merchants lean forward, eyes glinting in the lamplight. You think it's admiration. You think they see the craft, the hours of practice, the ache in your calves from rehearsal that never ends. But they don't. They see your face, your skin, your youth. And that is the part you never rehearsed. The first time a merchant sends a note backstage, you laugh. You imagine he wants to compliment your performance, maybe offer some sweet rice cakes. Instead, the note says, "Private dinner." You crumple it and hide it. But the troupe master finds out. He doesn't laugh. "Do you think theater pays for itself?" he snaps. "The candles, the costumes, the roof over your head. Who do you think keeps it alive? Patrons." He stares at you hard. To act is to serve. And so you learn another kind of performance. It starts with dinners. You're dressed in robes finer than anything your mother ever touched. You pour sake with hands trained to tremble just enough to look delicate. You listen to jokes you don't find funny. You laugh anyway. The men beam as if they've scored a prize. The women giggle, pretending you're one of them, but prettier. No touching. Not yet. But their eyes crawl over you, peeling away the silk. The heat of their gaze burns worse than stage lanterns. You sit there, smiling, cheeks aching, wishing the tatami mat would split and swallow you whole. Then come the gifts. Silks folded with care, a pouch of coins heavy in your sleeve, a comb carved from tortoiseshell. The first time you accept one, you're praised. The troupe showers you with approval. You've done well. You've secured favor. You've ensured the show survives another season. You nod, bow, play along. Part of you feels proud, like you've achieved something for the troupe. But another part, the part that still remembers running barefoot through rice paddies, feels dirtier than the mud between your toes back home. And then you start to notice something. You're not a child anymore. You're not a man either. You're something else. And you're starting to understand the price of being beautiful. Some months pass by as you keep your routine. Perform, escort, serve. You think that is all that's required of you. Until it happens. One night after another performance, you're summoned. A samurai has paid more than you've ever seen laid on a table. Not for theater, not for company, for you. The dinner is short. Sake, forced laughter, the ritual of pretense. Then your master leaves as the screen doors close. The air now is thick with incense, heavy enough to choke. You know what's coming before it happens. You've been informed. You resist at first, hands stiff, shoulders locked. But the instructions drilled into your echo. Smile. Don't flinch. So you freeze. And then you obey. The act is brutal. Not violent in the way of fists, but in the way it erases you piece by piece. Your body bends where you don't want it to. Your voice falters. When it's done, you lie staring at the ceiling, tasting iron in your mouth, your skin slick with sweat that isn't yours. You try to breathe it out, to scrub it off, but it clings. Back at the troupe, your master cheers. You've entered the profession, they say, pressing sweets into your hands as if you've won a prize. You smile for them, but inside, you feel something crack. The higher your name climbs, the lonelier you become. Crowds roar when you step on stage. Patrons beg for your company. But it's all surface. Silk, coins, Lies. They adore the mask, not the boy beneath it. Well, except for maybe one. A girl. You find her backstage. She's about your age, maybe a year younger. An oiling or courtesan, pretty as painted porcelain. She's sold, just as you are. Leased each night to men who look at her the way they look at you. You share rice balls when the handlers aren't watching. Whisper jokes that make your ribs ache with laughter. One night, your pinkies brush in the dark. It feels like rebellion. But you both know rebellion has no place here. Soon she's called away by an older man who reeks of sake. You're summoned by a wealthy woman, draped in silks. At first, you think it will be easier. A woman. Maybe she will be gentler. She isn't. She treats you like a novelty, a doll with warm skin. She has you pour her sake, massage her shoulders, then orders you onto her lap. You don't say no. You can't. Later, you tell the girl. She nods. Her own stories are the same. You're two sides of the same mirror, reflections of suffering, polished for others' pleasure. But no matter how close you sit, you cannot touch without imaginary chains clinking between you. You're 18 now. The day arrives without warning, though you felt it coming in every sideways glance. They sit you down. The blade flashes. The forelock, the soft tuft that marked you as wakashu, falls to the floor. Just like that, you're no longer desirable prey. You're no longer a boy suspended between worlds. You're just a man. The change is immediate. Patrons who once fought over you barely blink now. You walk the street and no one turns their head. You return to the stage and find yourself pushed to the background, while fresher faces glide into the spotlight. The same people who once cried for your beauty now forget your name. But unlike many boys who age out with nothing, you've been careful. The coins, the silks, the gifts, all those years of service were hoarded, hidden, and counted. You've saved enough to carve a new path, one that doesn't smell of incense and sweat. You leave the troop quietly. No farewell, no ceremony. Just a bag, a robe, and money tucked close to your chest. Soon, you apprentice under a merchant family. You learn trade, numbers, and the art of bargaining. It isn't glamorous, no applause, no adoring crowds, but for the first time, what you earn feels like it belongs to you. As for the girl, you leave her behind with a promise that you'll come back for her. Your future's yours now, at least in theory. But your past walks with you like a shadow that won't let go. Years pass, and you're 23 now. You're no longer a boy on stage or a body for rent. You're just a man. Anonymous among countless others shuffling through Ito's crowded streets. The merchant apprenticeship has turned into something sturdier. You have your own stall, your own trade routes, your own coin. It's modest, but it's yours. Every ryu you earn feels cleaner than all the silks and silver pressed into your palm years ago. And so you return. Not to the stage, not to the brothel, but to her. The girl who once shared stolen rice balls with you, who whispered dreams into the dark. You find her older, warier, with the same beauty, but dulled by years of being passed around. She doesn't laugh the way she used to, but when she sees you, her eyes soften, just a little. You keep your promise. You buy her freedom. The transaction feels sickeningly familiar. Coin for flesh, contract for life. But this time it's different. This time, it's to keep, not to rent. You both get married. You're respectable now, on paper at least. A merchant with a wife. Neighbors bow politely. Customers trust you. But nights are quieter now, and the silence is not always kind. Sometimes you remember the weight of a patron's hand. You also dream of the hollow applause of a crowd that never cared. The past doesn't vanish. It lingers, and it shows. In the way you flinch when your business associates compliment your looks, or how you notice every pretty boy with a shaved forelock, or when you sometimes look in the mirror and wonder if you've truly left the stage at all. Still, you built something. You kept your word. You saved her. And maybe in some fragile way, yourself. Years pass quietly. You are no longer a young man. You are in your 30s now with a wife, a son who climbs trees and runs barefoot through the mud the way you once did. Life is modest, steady, almost peaceful. You think the past is behind you. Your business grows. You dine with merchants, samurai, and patrons of the arts. They invite you to the theater often, to drink, to boast, to appreciate beauty. You refuse, every time. You tell them you're too busy, too old for that sort of pleasure. Truth is, you can't bear the thought. But one evening, you give in. A client insists, and refusing him would cost you more than pride. So you go. Lanterns sway. Laughter fills the air. The men around you toss coins like confetti, bidding for moments with painted boys and perfumed women. They call it art. They call it culture. They say it's nothing at all. You see the Oiran smile through the ache in their eyes. You see the Wakashu bow, just as you once did. You see your wife in their painted faces. You see yourself in the trembling boys. Something in you splinters quietly. You stand, muttering excuses, and leave before the curtain falls. At home, you find your wife asleep beside your son. You sit there in the dark, tracing the boy's face with your eyes, his innocence unspoiled. You whisper a promise no one hears. Not him. Never him. Because now you understand. This cycle never ends. Boys will always be painted, renamed, consumed, discarded. And men like you, even when they know the truth, will always be tempted to play their part. Years after your time, the shogunate finally steps in. Wakashu Kabuki is outlawed. The painted boys vanish from the stage. Men take their place. Older, rougher, safer. The theaters change. The rules change. But not because anyone suddenly grew a conscience. It wasn't about protecting boys like you. It was about controlling desire, tightening order, preserving the illusion of morality in a society built on masks. Your story, and the stories of countless others like you, aren't written in the chronicles. They survive only in the margins, in shunga prints, in dirty jokes, in whispered poems. History remembers the art, the costumes, the floating world of Edo. It rarely remembers the cost, and if someone were to carve your epitaph, it would be short and merciless. You were beautiful. You were wanted. You were used. You were forgotten. But in the cruel arithmetic of Edo, Japan, someone will say, well, at least you didn't end up as an Ida.